Philip, we're finally doing it.
We're doing it. We made it work.
Oh my God. For the listeners, we have had so many recordings in the books and we've been sabotaged by everything from power outages to scheduling conflicts. And it's been very dramatic. And now we're here.
Yes. We first had this idea in Berlin. We met. I heard you talking about Comedy Cafe Berlin. I think it was on the Duo podcast with Jason and Craig, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I have the CCB has become this incubator where we met through their Das Improv Festival, which is to me the funniest name for an improv festival.
It's the best. Yeah. Das Improv Fest. Yeah. I made a lot of friends there. What a great time that was. That was almost a year ago, which is insane. We've been planning this for almost a year.
Yes.
Tell me everything about you. And I also want to know everything improv related about you. I'm really hungry for the origin story of Brooklyn Comedy Collective. Take those in either order. Do you want to do your improv origin story first? Do you want to talk about BCC and then go backwards?
I think let's start at the very beginning, a very good place to start.
That's right. When you read, you begin with ABC.
Okay. Julie Andrews, I love when someone can pick up on that. I was on a date yesterday and the guy didn't know the line from Waiting for Guffman. We want you to live, Corky.
No. We love you, Corky. We want you to live. Most athletic injuries. Oh, is he okay? Yeah, what an instant deal breaker.
I mean, not everyone can be a well-versed comedian, but everyone should have seen Waiting for Guffman. It's one of that investment show I love.
Yes.
But speaking of, it's made through improv. I guess I'll go back to the beginning. I studied theater in college. I graduated, was living in Chicago. We both share a Chicago lineage. It was the best time to be there, especially in my 20s. I just had this amazing experience, except for the acting part where I went from studying Chekhov in college to then auditioning to be murdered gay number 2 in Chicago Fire. I was like, whoa, this is so boring. And what am I doing? And I found it really, and then I was also in a storefront play that got terrible reviews, was a really raggedy ass production. And I had to do it 8 nights a week. And I was like, this is not creative or fun to me. So I started taking improv classes. Hey.
What year or what range of years was this? And where was college?
I went to Northwestern.
Great.
And still have dear friends that I improvise with on the show Frat Boys, with Britt Lauer, Peter McNerney, Nick Kanellis,
Cool.
Sarah Grace Wellburn. It's we have stayed friends, and that's really cool. I actually tried out for improv in college and I never made a single team. But it gave me a great revenge narrative to then make my own theater. But yeah, so college improv didn't happen. I was acting is unfulfilling. Let me get into stuff. And so I took classes at IO. I took it at The Annoyance. The Annoyance was really where I found I could let my freak flag fly, and their curriculum, and I would say 2 of the best teachers I ever had, Mick Napier and Susan Messing, really changed my life.
Of course. Let's stick here for a second.
Yeah.
Tell me, compare the 2 programs and kind of why Annoyance felt more like home to you. And let's do that first. And then I want to talk about the teachers.
Yeah. Well, and just to give a preview, BCC and our philosophy, to me, is an amalgamation of those 2. And so The Annoyance, what I really got from The Annoyance was fuck it. This improv is not important. Mick Napier used to always say, improv is not important. Climate change, important. Improv, not. And it's one of the most wonderful things to do. So the idea was the more importance you put on it being perfect or this good or I have to do blank, the less relaxed you are. And so The Annoyance let me out of my shell. I did a bunch of their musicals. I wrote my own shows there. I would improvise in Skinprov, among other shows, which is just doing improv in your underwear at midnight on a Saturday. So the stakes literally couldn't be lower. And so that got me fuck it. And then IO really instilled love it. Fuck it, love it. Love it was this idea of appreciation for what you bring to the table. And most importantly, what your ensemble brings to the table. And the idea of lifting everybody up, listening, valuing the group mind of it all. And Yet at the same time, especially when I was like trying out for Herald Teens, I felt like there was a lot of like, oh my God, I love improv so much. I want desperately to do this Herald right, etc. And so I would clutch it very tightly. And so what eventually became my improv philosophy was saying both fuck it, this doesn't matter, and love it, I'm so excited to do this at the same time. Sort of like a yin yang.
Wow, what a great that could be the whole episode. Like that is so valuable. It's interesting while you're talking about like mixed thing of like this is not important, but it's also a wonderful thing to do. It makes me reflect on like how many hobbies and pastimes we have that we do for the love of it, that we don't put this import on that we put on improv. It's like I can go for a hike or a bike ride and I'm not like, am I riding my bike right? Am I doing it better than I did yesterday? It's like you're just enjoying the thing. And improv, because it's in a fishbowl and it has to be in front of an audience and it has to be in a group, there is that sense of judgment. And it's, you're getting laughs or not getting laughs. So there is that feedback system that can be mind fucky, and the audition mill of heralds can be mind fucky. But if you can get back to the bike ride of it, then it's like, oh right, this is just a wonderful thing to do ultimately.
Yeah, that's usually why people fall in love with it. And then we take a ton of classes and we get really in our heads and we feel like we're terrible. And then we start to feel good again, etc. I mean, to me, the difference between the bike riding a bicycle for most people is a lot less scary than improv. When I teach corporate workshops, I usually get very real at the top. I'm like, what would most people in this room say is their number one fear? Public speaking. What's improv? Public speaking without a safety net of knowing what you're going to say. So improv is one of the scariest things in the world. It's why it's even more important to not panic about it, about getting it right. And to know like the best improviser in the world I really care about muscles and like the gym metaphor at BCC, where it's like a great batting average is 3 out of 10. That's like 4 out of 10, the best baseball players in the world. So if you're a TJ Jagodowski and you do 10 shows in a row and 4 are absolute home runs, that's incredible. And then 3 will be great shows. And maybe, am I doing my math right? 2 will be very good shows. And then 1, it'll be like, oh, that was kind of weird. And that's wonderful. So yes, because improv is scary.
Here's what I want to ask is when you say that Susan and Mick were your favorite all-time teachers, and like they're everyone's, and I've never worked with Mick as a teacher. He was just like around and a hangout buddy when I was in Chicago. But like tell me like formative lessons that you learned from them, exercises you remember, anything that you loved.
Okay, so Susan specifically had a phrase that I like to quote to this day, give her credit for, which is, if you're not having fun, you're the asshole. And it was the idea of, you may not love the particular scene you're in, but the second that you start judging it, it's over. And to choose to lean in. And she also specifically, so at the time when I was coming up in Chicago, maybe you can relate, it was a lot of bros. It was a lot of bros. It'd be like, a team would be like 6 bros, maybe 1 woman, and then me being token gay singing in every scene or something like, and being a train wreck. Like, but I was like, oh, I don't want to do a bro thing. It's represented. And Susan said, no, Philip, for the rest of today's class, you only get to be a bro because I want to see a bro with your brain.
What a lovely sentence. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Talk about that. Yeah.
It was just such a lesson about like the thing that you think you're not good at, or that people they put baby in a corner. That's one thing that they're not going to touch. And it can often be a key to unlocking so much more, but also the thing that they're greatest at. And so like for me, like being a bro sportscaster and making up, the Philadelphia Penguins or whatever the fuck, and leaning in with as much confidence as possible to broness. When I see people, I give personal notes and they don't do this one thing, I find that like it's kind of illogical why people sometimes think they can't do something on stage, and it doesn't come from a place of like once they try it out, they realize, oh, I can do it. I can do this. I can do everything.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And just the phrase "I want to see a blank with your brain" is so applicable to everyone. It's like, right, put your brain on the project. You are what's unique about this scene. And even if two people try to repeat the same premise or the same characters or whatever, the improvisers themselves are going to bring new specifics, new flavor, new emotion. It's like that's the secret sauce is you. I love that. Can you give me a bro character?
I mean, it's like I sort of go over at school. I said, you kind of just like slur some of your words, and I just like am so fucking down with the Knicks and how they're stealing the show. They're running away with the ball, and I'm so like down to the wire. I'm slamming back Narragansetts with my homies, and
I just got out of a relationship with a guy who was a sports fanatic. So, yeah, sorry.
Oh, that is totally my B babe, and I apologize from the tip of my head to the toes of my feet. Won't be talking sports. Let's talk women. What do you want?
Yeah, great. Yeah, it's so funny. Also, I just immediately become a shutty downy straight man. That's so great. Give me some Mick memories or nuggets or takeaways.
Mick, well, first of all, Mick had a perception that I think all great teachers have. He could watch someone play for 15 minutes and really zero in on something. And what I like to say, what he could do and what great teachers can do is they can see the thing behind the thing. Mm-hmm. So if you have this avoidant tendency or this over-aggressive tendency, you can call that out and work on it with coaching and personal notes, but there's a reason that you're doing it behind the thing. Mm. And if you can really get to why somebody is defaulting to that, that's where real growth can happen, because I could hold a student's hand in any class now as a teacher and be like, okay, we're going to play this big, loud character. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. But the second the class is over, it all goes out the window unless they make that fun and they destigmatize whatever reason they're avoiding it in the first place. And Mick was really good about that.
Yeah. Do you remember what your thing was and then what the thing behind it was?
I think I was an overeager beaver. And I like when I first did my first cruise ship for Second City, which I did write a Medium post about, which I've now taken down because I run a theater. It was called The Ship from Hell, and I anonymized everything, but it wasn't that. It was pretty clear what I was talking about. It was a really challenging gig. We did 15 shows a week, and the cast took me aside very early on, and they said, "Philip, we can initiate scenes too. You don't have to start every scene." And it had gone with something Mick had told me shortly before I got that gig, which is that I was just like, if I felt like the harder I went and the more I could establish up top, the safer I felt. Mm-hmm. The big lesson was the power of letting go of needing to build the house of the scene all yourself so that you feel comfortable. And now I enjoy going second in a scene. I enjoy playing off someone, but that was something that Mick called me out on. And then I had 15 shows a week once I got called out to work on a cruise ship.
Wow. Do you feel like I mean, first of all, what a note to get from your castmates. A fellow cast note is rough, but it's, important. And do you feel like you immediately hockey sticked that lesson and exponentially kind of implemented it?
Well, first of all, you're totally right. I don't think cast should be giving each other notes. No. One of the problems with those cruise ships was there was no one in charge. Like I was the company manager, which just meant like kind of telling on what was happening, but I was no saint either in terms of like my, how am I supposed to report on this? Like this should be coming from a director, but it was a wake up call that I was doing something out of fear. And I slowly I tried to get over my own ego within a day or two. And then it was like, yep, I'm going to go second. I'm going to like let things breathe. And I learned so much from that. So what was the second part of your question? I forget.
What the thing behind the thing was. Like, why were you being and you kind of touched on that. The feeling of like being out of control in a scene or wanting to like establish it to feel safe. Is that kind of, does that answer it?
Yeah, it was the idea of like, if I can give myself these building blocks, then I can breathe. But actually, and again, this is like, I was gripping something so tightly. And that can come from a love. It's like, I really want this scene to work. And I just came out to the who, what, where, and blah, 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 and tried to do too much. Even if I didn't pre-plan it, it just like came up. I'm pushing too hard. And so I got a lot better as an improviser when I let go of the need to get anywhere fast. I like to use this phrase, fast, slow improv. And what I mean by that is at BCC, we teach people to be very gut-based. Like, don't think ahead, anything that you're planning ahead, unless you're on the sidelines and you're thinking of something for the show, like a callback. But once you're in the scene, you're present. So that's the fast part. But the slow part is you are not in any rush to get anywhere and you don't skip shit. Great performers, something happens, they pay attention to it and they go down that rabbit hole. And so it's like fast in that I'm staying completely present, but slow in that my partner and I are chewing the fuck out of everything. And I think I started to learn that on the cruise ship.
A metaphor is coming into my mind's eye as you're saying all of this, starting with, you were saying like, once I have these things, these building blocks in place, then I can breathe. And I think because you were talking about a cruise ship, I was imagining you like floating in water, like scrambling to get your stuff to like hang on to as like a life raft. And what we're talking about here is the realization that we don't have to float on the surface and grab onto the Titanic door. Let yourself sink into it and learn that we all breathe underwater. Like, we're improv mer people. Like, it is that feeling. It's like that the difference between like scrambling for info and for and sometimes grabbing onto your scene partner's head and accidentally dunking them as a consequence, versus letting go and being like, oh, it's actually fine if we don't know all of the answers. It's actually fine to sink. It's like a dream world where we're just like, we're all in it. Go deeper, breathe. We're in it.
Yes.
The cruise ship gig, did that lead to like touring on dry land when you got back? Did you do like red, green, blue co or anything?
Oh, no, I moved to New York shortly after that. I was like,
you're like, I went and told the captain to turn the ship north and drop me off.
Leave me in Nassau, girl. They wanted me to do another ship before giving me a Turco. And I was just like, I became so depressed. Like month 3, I was pretty much an alcoholic. Not that I was ever drunk during shows, but like after, just like way too much. And I learned that like, yeah, I needed to put down roots somewhere. And the cruise ship, like, I was a really great experience. Overall, I'm glad I did it. I would never fucking do it again. I don't even want to go on a cruise ship ever again.
Yeah, that's the
heebie-jeebies.
Yeah, that's the stopper for me. But and also like, aside from like the environmental impact and everything, just like being trapped on a tin can in the ocean. And then like what that does for cast dynamics. It's like a big issue I was running into at Boom, like, was that, we were this island of, 10 expats in the middle of Amsterdam. And like, we had this very insular world. It's hard to make friends in a new foreign city, especially before smartphones. And it was just like, it felt like this was our little iceberg. And when that's so insular, when your cast life is also your social life and your family life, and how you figure out how to go to the doctor and like literally everything, it can become like a toxic, like a real world house where it's like, yeah, no wonder we're having interpersonal tension and dynamics. It was good for us, but a bunch of 23-year-olds paid in beer having to work out their issues while also doing shows and writing shows and everything together. Yeah. Anyway, okay.
Well, I want to just say real quickly,
yeah.
like I first of all relate so hard. Like I always, in terms of like building a cast out, I also felt like everyone in the cruise ship I was on was so funny, but it was kind of like Seven Suns. Like there were no comets, there weren't really any moons. Like everybody was like hot and fiery, and Seven Suns makes a black hole eventually. Like, it was just too much. Everybody was aggressive in a great way playing on stage, but it didn't always It's just you're in close quarters, like you said, and things get hot. And it is also why I believe to this day we cast a couple things at BCC, but most of it is people submitting teams to us that they have found by finding their people, because I think people that are friends with each other play best together.
Yeah, I've talked about this on the podcast before. I've run across theaters where this is the model, where you audition as a team or you submit as a team rather than auditioning as individuals and getting placed on rando teams. I love it. I love this model so much. Let's talk about, so you run from the ship. You are running so fast from the ship that you're able to run across water like one of those lizards, and you get yourself to New York.
Not the lizard. I love it. The metaphors are killing me. So I moved to New York, and I had a solo show. I got into the Fringe. It was like, okay, this is an excuse. I'm going to move. But then I pitched to Mick and Jen at The Annoyance, what if I brought a training center for The Annoyance over to New York? Because I had experience running training centers in Chicago. It's kind of like what I did for like mostly teens and kids at that point, but I loved The Annoyance. And so I brought it out there, and then very quickly it became a theater, and there was so much Chicago talent that transplanted over. And it was this really amazing hot thing that added to the New York scene.
I didn't know about this.
The Annoyance New York.
Yeah, what years did this run?
This ran 2013 to 2018, like 27, somewhere around that. And, this is where like I remember so like seminal shows that like Julio Torres, I remember, did his Color Theory show at The Annoyance New York as a slot. Bowen Yang and Sam Taggart put this Lake Homo High together. There was so much weird alternative comedy. Holy Fuck was killing it. Connor O'Malley was running that with so many of everyone from Annie Donnelly to Carmen Christopher, John Reynolds. It was Gary Richardson, so funny. And Patty Harrison was like an intern there when she started. Like,
I love her.
So there was this whole chapter, and it was hot. It was like, it was in the New York Times 3 weeks after it opened, with the first line, which I'll never forget. My 2 weeks of the Annoyance ended in a pile of sewage, which, because the toilets, we were below a jazz club in this janky space. There was music that would play after 10 p.m. So people would be screaming over jazz music. There were mice in the ceiling. I put in like all this nesting. And I swear to God, as I was putting in the ceiling, found chicken bones made into a Santeria.
No.
It was a Catholic
like an altar?
witchery.
Oh,
yes.
God.
And I did not move it. It is still there.
You do not move that. Also, I would love a flashback where we see it's just someone has like chucked chicken bones, and the way they rattle through the vents and land is just like, it looks like an occult symbol, but like it's just a pile of chicken bones.
I'll believe anything.
Yeah.
I'll believe for the story. I'm like, I saw Santeria.
Right. Don't move that trash. Don't leave that trash in the dumpster. All of that trash is a Santeria altar. I swear.
I swear it's not a bit. I swear.
I swear.
Don't fuck with Catholic witchery.
No.
As someone that is a recovering Catholic, don't fuck with the witches.
As someone who is a practicing witch, do not sprinkle Catholicism in there. It gets dark.
It's too much.
It's too much.
Yeah.
Okay, so wait. So why did Annoyance New York fold?
Well, I stepped down, and they had someone from Chicago come out to run it. I was at that point, like, I had done it. I wanted to like focus on performing more. I went to Bali to like eat, pray, kill myself, figure out what I wanted to do next in my life. And I was starting to write a lot. And so, yeah, I came back. And so I wasn't running it when it closed down, but I think they made a call they were also opening a space in Chicago. It was their call to make. It was sad, but it did close. And then I traveled. I did like that thing of like, I'm going to teach in Europe. I'm going to go to all these places. And I did that for like a year. I tried out LA, and I just decided like community is really important to me. This is kind of a lonely existence. And frankly, everyone in LA that I'm hanging out with is like, we never go out of the house. This is incredible. And I'm like, I have to be in New York City where people just fuck around and hang out.
Yeah,
and I started the BCC.
Yeah, and public transportation, and you can like go out for a night and get yourself home, and also like you can walk out of your door and walk 5 feet and bump into a good time, versus LA where you have to kind of know where your destination is and make the plan. And yeah, I say that loving LA. I love LA so much, but it takes a while to find a social groove here. Okay, BCC. Origin me.
Yeah, I was in LA. I was deciding between LA and New York, and I said, fuck it. I called up Annie Donnelly, who love and respect, one of my favorite people in the world. And she had been the programming director at Annoyance. And we were like, let's do our own thing. And so I founded it from LA, which is why I still actually have like a California bank account that I like can't move to New York. So I started it there.
But then does that mean you have to pay the 13% California income tax? Okay. I was like, no. Girl, you gotta switch that account over.
I know. It's just like, it was just, and then we put up classes right away with a lot of teachers, and they sold out right away. And so it was like, here we go. And we first started in residence at the Brick Theater, which is an off-Broadway theater. We were doing 9:30 p.m., 11 p.m. shows. Mm-hmm. Then we ended up in the back of my friend's Mexican restaurant. Then COVID happened and killed the party. And we were doing online shows. Yeah.
Pause for a second. I want to know, like, in those early days, because I don't want to gloss over this. There's a lot in this sentence of like, we started it and we were doing programming. It's like, what programming? Like, who were your people? How did you gather your starting, castmates and everything?
Well, I think in starting something, to have a built-in community that had been missing the Annoyance and had already formed such bonds, I sort of think of it like high school. Like there was the senior class, which was like Connor O'Malley brought back Holy Fuck under a different name called TV Dinner. Bowen Yang actually did the very first show at BCC in our history. It was a gay workout show. And so there were people that like, senior class that had been well established, been doing their thing. And then there were all the people that came up at the Annoyance, including like Maya Sharma, who was a bartender there. And eventually when Annie moved to LA, like took over programming as my right-hand person at BCC, they were like the junior class. And then people started taking classes for the first time with us, and they were the incoming freshmen or sophomores. And so there was this pipeline of both students to take and to come see shows for free and be part of the community, and then really great people that already had tight-knit groups. And again, this is not me casting teams so much as pulling together people that want to work with each other. I just really believe, like, there's one show I cast to this day, which is called The Residency, in which we create a Second City style review from scratch. That is an audition process, etc. But otherwise, who am I to play God?
Yeah.
How will I know that you, Suzi, will play with Philip and you two are going to jive well? Like, it's a guess. And so I'd rather people find that on their own and then come to us.
Yeah. And also what you're leaving room for then is people coming in with fully baked ideas or inspired forms, things that they've done bits about while they were high in their apartment. And they're like, we think this is a funny show. I mean, that's kind of what makes the Annoyance sing, is like, there's such a raw edge to it. And the feeling of like, oh, we're just in someone's basement watching this thing that was a bit that just got heightened to the moon, like talking about like a gay workout show. It's like, yep, give me your concepts, give me your fun flavor, got it. So you were able to kind of scoop up the wayward orphans from the Annoyance. I hate to ask, were you able to give the mice some shows, or what happened to those ceiling mice?
I don't know. That jazz club, who knows where those mice are? One fell on a student in a class, on the student's head mid-scene.
No.
It was not my class, yes. And everyone in that class rolled with it, and like they were just like, oh, let's continue. I think it was Anthony Oberbeck's class. And to me, that is like grounds to sue. It's like yes. I can't believe everyone was cool with that. But that was kind of the DIY vibe of that. And then yeah, BCC, like, we found our way. It was very much trial and error and growing like from a niche thing, but then COVID happened and almost killed it all. And like that was as close as I've ever come to just walking away from it. I came this close. I was at the end of it, we were doing fucking Zoom shows. And so something that was an establishing thing about BCC that I'm very proud of is that we paid people from day one to do shows.
Oh, great.
We paid them like 50% of the box office for their work in bringing in people to the show that they had pitched us. And then they would pay the cast for house shows that we would cast. We would pay everyone at least $10 and like a drink ticket. And this was not the prevailing model in New York. And I felt strongly that it had to change. So we would pay people. And then when we did online shows, we happened to find a golden goose. One of the Redstones kids who just was a millionaire started an app and was like, yeah, we'll book BCC to do 7 shows a week on this app.
Who are the Redstones? I know the Redgraves.
Who are the Redgraves?
Like Vanessa Redgrave, the actor?
Oh, yeah. Sherry Redstone, former owner of Paramount.
Oh, wow. Geez, what a name
Paid off
drop.
Donald Trump. Yeah. And so her son, Tyler Korff, started an app called TV Co, in which it was a lot of like post-bachelorette, like ex-bachelorette celebrities. And then the BCC doing weird-ass comedy in which people were still being anarchic and insane. Like Devin Bockrath, I love you very much, showed her ass twice on TV Co. And I had to deal with the notes just pulling down trow. I was like, you can't do that. But we were able to pay people, and then that ended, and then we're doing Zoomprov, and I was like, I mean, how were you at the end of COVID?
I mean, raggedy. I had a complete existential breakdown, like a full crisis of self. I like my final months of COVID were a dark time where I was like, not only like, oh my God, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? But also, what have I done? Like, I'm not funny, and I've never been funny, and I've just been near funny people, and like that kind of spiral. It was so dark. It was so awful. I did a few Zoomprov shows, and I did some like podcast, like improvised podcast stuff from my closet. And that's truly like what kept me afloat, was like, okay, once a week, me and 3 friends improvise as characters, and I'm in my closet playing this character, and it saved me. Shout out to Casey Faye and the show Family Time that I think nobody listened to, but we had fun making it. But yeah, so dark days, and also we didn't know if it was gonna come back. And then when COVID ended and people were leaving their houses again, UCB was still closed for like another year. And it was like, you know, people like Casey starting holy shit, and like these indie things, and the Elysian came back, like places started sprouting up and coming back. And that was like the hope and the lifeline. But for a little while there, it was like, oh, did this kill live theater forever? Like the only thing that we had in this dark, dark world. Was that kind of your experience? Did you have that question mark at the end of it, wondering like if theater would come back, if improv would come back?
I feared that. I also felt like so starved for it. I knew in my experience, I was so starved for it that I had to hope that everyone else was starved for it too. And now, like, fast forward to today and the AI of it all, it's like live events are precious and irreplaceable. And I think post-COVID, people, I mean, I did find like people were hungry for it, but there was so much fear and even like performing, like I'm doing stand-up. Can I take my mask off? Am I doing stand-up through a mask thing and you can barely understand what I'm saying? There was so many unspoken rules and very hot feelings around that. I mean, just everyone's emotions were sky high. And I was going to leave. I was going to like, I'm done. I have stretched myself as far as I can go, but I and my dog were in San Francisco staying with my dad, and they changed the emotional support guidelines on airlines, which I had used to get her out there. So she didn't qualify. She wasn't certified. So we have to drive back. And I end up, instead of renting a car, I price it out. I'm like, I'm going to get an orange Mini Cooper, and I'm going to get a custom license plate that says Fanta. And I'm going to scoot, beep, beep with my dog down to LA through San Diego, see friends, and then just take 25 days to get to New York.
I'm going to put a little pair of goggles on my dog and a little white silk scarf, and I'm going to open all the windows so the scarf flaps in the wind.
That is so... I mean, it's an iconic image. The last thing my dad said to me, he was like, Philip, you're driving through the South in a very loud car as a single gay guy with a dog. Just be aware. And I'm like, Dad, I'm going to Dollywood. It's going to be fine. I'm going to be around my people wherever I go. it was like at the end of this trip, I'll decide about BCC, and I decided to give it one last shot. The next day, I knocked on the door of a place called Eris that was a nightclub 1 minute from where I live in East Williamsburg, off the Montrose stop. And I was like, what do you do in here before 10 p.m.? And they said, basically nothing ever. And I said, hi, I have a comedy theater. We're looking for a home. Could you just give me the space? And we entered into a symbiotic relationship, again, trying to figure out new models for theater where we share the space. I only use it. And we can do 24 shows a week there between the main stage, which is like a big 120-seat theater, and the black box downstairs. And then we, like Barnacles, added the Doghouse, which is our training center. You want to learn comedy, you go to the Doghouse. It's our offices. I decorated it like Pee-wee's Playhouse. It's
amazing.
Like fun. And
what was that space, the Doghouse space, before you took it over?
It was a former yoga studio
that
I used to do yoga out. And we actually, speaking of rats, it had been left vacant during COVID, and I got the lease, got a great lease. It's going to be our first space of our own with the theater just like 30 seconds on the corner. There were rats in the walls, and we had to commit rat genocide, and one of them died in the walls. And the first week of classes in this new space, it smelled like death.
It's the worst smell. The smell that one little rat can put out it's truly unreal.
I was taking my dog around, and I was like, find the rat. Like, Star, go to the wall. And then she would kind of linger by this wall, and I lost my mind and took a hammer and started bashing on the wall. I was like, we found the rat. We found the rat. There was no rat in there. No. We just had to wait. I had to plaster the wall over, and we waited 4 weeks, and it went away.
You went full The Shining, just like axe
all
to the wall.
And no play, make Philip bash wall. I don't know. And look, I'm the artistic director at BCC. I'm also the owner. And so there are these huge things that like kind of like at the end of the day just fall on me, whether I like it or not, like figuring out how to kill rats.
And, your daddy Philip. Yeah.
Daddy Sparkle.
Daddy Sparkle. Really quickly, when you talk about the symbiotic relationship with this nightclub, this is the model I think that so many people can be using. There's so many people on our Discord who are like chatting about how to start scenes in their small town or how to find a home for the show that they have. And I think this really gets at it, where it's like find a space, like find a bookstore that's not being used at night, or find a nightclub that's not being used in the early evening. And if you can, then it's mutually beneficial. What did you do? Did you rent the space from the nightclub, or did you share profits with them, or how did that kind of work?
So yeah, we basically guarantee rent for each month, which they can also make up in bar sales. They run the bar, so I don't deal with the bar. It's a bridge too far for me at this point. And then we share the rent, and then we keep everything at the door for ourselves, which again allows us to give 50% to the producer of each show, or to pay people that are on our house shows. And look, like 120-seat theater with a 60-seat theater underneath it, like that's very hard to find in New York. So I 100% support what you're saying and thinking outside the box. And look, we have the Doghouse now. We also have the pig pen, because what other animal is smart as a dog? The pig pen is decorated like Miss Piggy. It's fake royalty.
This is great.
that is our own stage. It's also a classroom with then 2 other studios attached to it. But that we use for student shows and class shows, and also like the clowns at BCC love doing it there because it's very much in your face with the audience. And so like we did end up getting our own stage, which we can program, but between the 3 of them, we now have 30 shows a week. And it is only because of the symbiotic that we could even afford to get our own spaces for training center and more.
Yeah, of course. Let's talk about your what you teach. You touched on it earlier. Do you have a formal curriculum, or are you freestyling based on tentpole ideas, or what's your teaching thing?
Cool. Yeah. So we have a bunch of core curriculums: improv, sketch, stand-up, and clowning. And clowning, I know in LA is huge. It's popping off in New York too.
Great.
Within the other curriculums, the teachers have graciously contributed ideas. They work together. At the end of the day, we don't claim ownership of those curriculums. We work together, but I don't want to be like, you've given me your ideas for the clown program. Now I'm going to hire whoever I want. It's very much, again, a symbiotic relationship with the artists. When it comes to the improv curriculum, I, with some collaborators, pretty much filled that out. Like level 1 being an intro to improv, level 2 being called Free Your Mind. And we primarily, like if UCB is a game-based system, we're sort of teaching much more, at least at level 2, akin to like the deal that the annoyance originally came up with within our own context of how we play that.
Can you describe that? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, and to me, the easiest way, and I don't want to speak for UCB because I've only taken 2 classes there, but for me, when I was in it, it was sort of like I was playing, but I was also like almost like a director being aware of what was funny, what was unusual, and having the awareness to sort of, like I'm watching the scene from the outside, know how to heighten it and how to play it. BCC is very, if that's outside in, BCC is very inside out, where clear your mind, play, first of all, from an emotional point of view. That's what Mick came up with when he said deal. I think the kids these days would say, what's it giving? What's your character giving? What is the energy, the emotional tone behind it? And that how you are is even more important than the who, what, where at the start of a scene. And the metaphor I like to use, we're going to go to bicycles again. We were talking about bicycles. Here we go. If your deal's a wheel and I come in with a point of view, it is very easy for me to fill out the spokes of that wheel, like the name of my character, my profession, how I know the other person, why I'm here in this place. It's just filling out all these spokes because I've initiated with a strong frame. The opposite approach would be coming out and trying to label all these things and then find a genuine character around that. And to me, it's harder to get a wheel going. My partner has a wheel as well. Or if there's 3 or more people in the scene, then we all have our own deals. But in a 2-person scene, how your wheel and how mine intersect is the bicycle that is connected by the frame of our relationship. Okay, yeah, it's getting real nerdy.
For part 2 of this episode, go to yesalso.supercast.com. If you like this podcast and you want double the content, head over to yesalso.supercast.com and subscribe. You can also help us out for free by subscribing to us on YouTube and talking us up to your improv communities. If you have a question that you'd like us to answer in one of our Q&A episodes, or a topic that you think would make a great bonus episode, put it in a 5-star review. If you're a theater who would like to host us for a live recording and improv show, let us know at yesalsopod@gmail.com. A very special thanks to our producer, Ryan Rosenberg, audio and video editor, Brian Kessler, and Britt Faye, who does our marketing. Thanks for listening, and we will see you next week. No, we won't, Suzi. That's not how podcasts work. They won't even see us. They will listen to us, so it's actually the opposite of both things you said. Thanks for listening, and you will listen to us next week. Maybe. We don't know.